Pranav Prasanna strides into the studio. How are you, Pranav? You feel good? You look good for a Friday.
Thank you, Kitch. Yeah, I've actually, done well for myself, catching the sports that have been happening across the day.
Well, you've also brought in a special guest for this edition of the Fans Forum, the founder of Allianz Football Club in Dubai. He's a Multi F.A qualified football coach and a very strong advocate and very active for youth development. He's award winner at the Sports Industry Awards, the SPIA in 2021. And Mehran Rowshan is joining us on the phone for the Fans Forum. Thank you very much for your time and joining us on this Friday.
It's my pleasure, guys.
Great to have you on here. There's so much about football that we really wanted to get your views on. Let's talk us through Lionel Messi, one of the big news stories this week. It was thought he could be coming to Saudi Arabia. Instead, he's moving to David Beckham's Inter Miami. What do you think this means for USA football and also the MLS?
Well, it's the biggest move ever for the U.S. soccer, as they call it, because the impact of Messi goes way beyond football. In 60s and 70s, we had Pele there who introduced football to the U.S. And then in 94, they hosted the World Cup. So in a couple of years, they'll have the World Cup again. And what's a better way than having Messi promote the World Cup, especially in the U.S., to the world?
Mehran, for anyone who's followed your Instagram account and you've constantly mentioned about players moving for, say, a big money move to Saudi Arabia. Now, when you look at Messi moving to Inter Miami, he's obviously taken a pay cut here, and the Barcelona move, that didn't happen as well, the return to Barcelona. What does it mean for Messi, taking these pay cuts? What's the benefit for him in moving to the USA?
That's a great question. Messi is very different compared to the rest of the stars that went to Saudi. Now, if you're a Ronaldo fan, you're not going to like what I'm saying, but it's just my view. Messi does not care a lot about money. I mean, everybody loves to have more money, but for Messi, it's more of protecting his legacy. And if he followed Benzema and Ronaldo and Ramos and all those guys to Saudi Arabia, it's just too obvious that he's going there to retire with a lot of money, whereas the move to the U.S. would give him another chance to somehow move to the business side of football, because I'm pretty sure that they've offered him few licenses for a club or probably a stake at David Beckham's club. And, U.S. is the biggest economy in the world, so just him being there means a lot of opportunities. And at the same time, you never know. Maybe he goes back to Europe on loan or something before the World Cup.
And it's also, Miami's a Spanish-speaking city. Let's not forget that.
True.
Yeah,
true.
There'll be a huge fan base for him there. So I'm sure it would be attractive that you still want to play in front of packed stadiums as well, like you said, about the legacy, about the football you play.
100%. And it's crazy how tickets that were priced $40 are now being sold for thousands of dollars just because people want to see Messi play. And I'd be honest, I already know a lot of people that want to buy his shirts, even though nobody even knew about Inter Miami club in US. So that's the Messi effect.
Well, when it comes down to Saudi Arabia missing out, they're still going to push ahead for their hosting of the 2030 World Cup. Is it likely that they are going to put in a bid for this World Cup, do you feel?
I think they're going to get it because of course, the resources that you have when it comes to hosting big tournaments plays a big role, and they already have the support of both Messi and Ronaldo. Saudi is really investing in their football, and along with Greece and Egypt, I don't see any reason why they cannot get it.
The only thing I could see is that whatever FIFA want to do, FIFA tended to have a rule that each confederate had to host it once before it went back to the same confederate. So having technically been in Asia, it's then got to go, South America, North America, Europe, Africa before it comes back to Asia again. However, I think that if it really depends on who else is bidding for it at that stage too.
True.
So we'll have to wait and see.
That is so true. But also, the power of money, the power of being able to offer FIFA something that they cannot refuse. because for FIFA it's all about revenues, and it seems that Saudi Arabia has enough resources to offer them what they cannot refuse.
Mehran, you mentioned the word revenue. A lot of times, these revenues can be associated either with the big clubs. When you look at Manchester United, when you look at, say, a Barcelona or a Real Madrid across Europe, even AC Milan back in the day. So, in terms of international football competitions, there was association with these big clubs. But now the way things are going, Benzema, N'Golo Kante, maybe Riyad Mahrez, Cristiano Ronaldo's already in Saudi Arabia. For people that don't know an Al Nassr or an Al Ittihad or an Al Hilal, they're still getting associated with Middle Eastern football. How does that help in terms of generating revenue, in terms of improving business as well for Saudi and their sports portfolio?
Well, we're talking a lot of money here, like just $250 million for Benzema, who's at the end of his playing career. So, to be very honest with you, I would be more happy to see younger players in Saudi. Big names would attract a lot of audience. People would want to watch the games through TV, all those revenue streams. But honestly, I don't want to be really negative, but I don't see this being sustainable. Because you want to build something. It's not like 1 or 2 seasons of having Ronaldo and Benzema and Ramos and those guys. Because think about it, if you're a big star and you're, let's say, 20, 21, 22, you really want to be playing the Champions League. You want to lift the Champions League. You want to win the European leagues. So not everything is about money. And it's very difficult to attract because think about it. If you are Saudi Arabia and you have a lot of revenue to buy these superstars, then you also play in the Asian Champions League and you compare their resources to other countries, it's just crazy. So how sustainable is it for them to compete? Because it's not just about signing. It's, hey, I'm going to buy these players, distribute them across my clubs, Al Ittihad, Al Nassr, Al Hilal, and all those clubs, but then they have to also compete with other countries, which it's not going to happen. So can it be sustainable? That's the only question. And the way I see it, it's just going to be a few years of let's pump the money, promote football, get the Saudi name out there, get the 2030 World Cup, and then let's see how it goes because the young talents will simply not go to Saudi Arabia.
Mehran, one thing I want to mention, you mentioned the AFC Champions League. Now, when you look back at your country in Iran, for example, you've got clubs like Istiklal FC, you've got Persepolis, which have won this competition many times. When these clubs in Saudi Arabia, when they face off against Asian champions, how competitive does the football get then? And does that open up football to wider audience in Asia?
That's a great question, but regardless of how many superstars you sign, it doesn't mean that your team will win every game. And especially with the Champions League, if you see the matches, Al Hilal is dominating Asian football, but you look at the Korean teams, you look at the Japanese team, even sometimes you look at the Iranian teams, they are not on paper stronger, but they put on a good show. So can 1 or 2 superstars in Saudi League in a team make a difference? I'm not sure. But in terms of the business aspect of it, everybody would want to see Benzema play in Iran or in India or in Thailand or wherever it is. It's a love of the game, but again, it's not sustainable.
Yeah, no, well, it certainly does open up new markets, and it is attractive to play in front of big audiences, so that's attractive. We're almost out of time, Mehran. I want to get a tip from you. Champions League final on the weekend. Who do you like, Man City or Inter Milan?
Well, I'd like to congratulate Pep for winning it in advance. You never know because, the Italian teams always figure out a way to upset the big guns, but the way Man City played against Madrid, it showed the difference. So I don't see any reason why they would bottle it as my dear Arsenal did. So I think it's going to happen. Pep is going to finally win the Champions League without Messi.
Well, it's going to be incredible. Mehran Rowshan, we thank you for your time and sharing all your expertise. And thanks for being on TSB Talk 100.3.
It was my pleasure. Have a great day, guys.